In today's video, we're going to take a first impressions look at Dawn of Defiance. What's up, everybody? My name is Whack. Thank you for joining me for this video. Dawn of Defiance launched into early access on August 15th. Now, I received a review copy of this game through Lurkit, and if you want to check out the game further, there's a link in the description of this video that'll help support me. Jumping into what the developers say about the game, you are the Defiler, subjected to a mythical plot across ruined isles. In a Greek myth-inspired survival crafter, ascend from being a weak soldier to a godlike anti-hero. Build immersive Greek structures, craft and upgrade your gear, and face down the trials of the gods with up to 3 friends. As of the recording of this video, there is currently 646 very positive reviews for this game. Now, I don't have a ton of time into Dawn of Defiance. This is an early impression video for this game, but I've played for it just over 2 hours. The start of the game is much like any other survival crafter game. You are going to be looking for certain resources to start building and crafting the different tools that you're going to need in order to set down your first base and make the weapons that you need for your first combat interactions. Early on, the game has a pretty decent journey system telling you what resources to find next so that you can craft the next item in the list. Now, with this journey system, it's not showing you exactly what you need to go and get, but it is telling you go and get this item or that item, and you just have to kind of explore and figure out which resources you need to harvest to actually get that item. And then a little bit later on, once you've set up your first base, the journey system just kind of disappears. It again gives you another journey and says, go find this resource, and it's up to you to go and find that. All in all, I think the journey system that is there gives you a pretty quick and easy onboarding for the game, but it just kind of stops and leaves you hanging after that. I do feel like there are some things that could be explained by the journey system that currently aren't, but this is an early access title and there's no reason that they can't add that in the future. And if you just kind of start exploring the world, you'll definitely continue to complete those journey steps, even though it's not giving you real good direction on what to go and do next. There are a couple things with the harvest system that I really like. First of all, you could just hold E to interact, and as long as you're running along and looking at resources as you're running along, you'll continue to pick those up. So not having to click for each resource is a very nice quality of life feature. Additionally, when you are harvesting trees, you just have to click and hold in order to harvest trees. Larger trees are going to turn into logs, and then you have to harvest those as well. And when those logs break apart, you do have to gather those resources off the ground. However, you are not clicking for each resource. It does have an area that it's going to gather from when you click the interact button. Most of the crafting that you do is instantaneous until you get to some crafting benches, and then in the crafting benches, certain ones will require you to leave things on the bench for a certain amount of time. Now, you don't have to stand there and wait for that to craft. There's no interaction necessarily with the benches, but it does take some time for certain things to happen. For example, when you are butchering animals for their resources, there is an amount of time that's required to process the animal carcass into those resources. But you can just set that and walk away and then come back and collect the resources later. The same goes for food. It takes a while to craft, and early on at least, you're only able to cook one piece of meat at a time. At least I haven't figured out a way without putting down multiple stations to cook multiple pieces of meat. So that can be a little bit daunting thinking about that, but I think that the game approaches food in the right way. This is not a game where you have to eat in order to just survive. The food is just going to give you buffs to your health and your stamina. So looking at it like that, you're not going to be consuming an absolute ton of food. And I haven't seen a water system in the game other than some potions that are, again, just going to buff your character. So it's not like you need to focus a ton of time and energy into getting food just so you can adventure across the map. Now, currently, there's no character creator system in the game, and you are not even able to pick the type of character that you want to play as. You just kind of jump in and you are who you are. I'm not sure if there are multiple different styles of characters, even once you get into multiplayer and playing with friends. I don't know if you all look the same or different, but you're not going to be able to affect what you look like through any of the settings. There are some decent settings available for your gameplay experience, so things like dropping inventory on death, giving the player more health or better health regen and stamina, and then lowering the enemy health or raising it depending on what kind of experience you actually want. So if you want to pump those settings up to more of a hardcore difficulty, you can do that, or lower those settings and have a much easier gameplay experience. Now, there's an autosave feature, but there's also a manual save feature, so you can always roll back to a different save if you have some kind of issue. Building is pretty similar to Conan Exiles, where you're going to have a construction hammer and you're going to open a menu and select the different parts and pieces that you want in order to place those. The rotation system is a bit slower than what I like to see in games, but it could be just that you have more control over how those items are placed. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. It just wasn't what I was expecting when I started building. However, the building system seems to have a pretty solid foundation, and I didn't run into any issues while building my base. There is a day and night cycle, and boy, does it get dark when it's night. So I recommend if you're going to go out and adventure at night, you craft yourself a torch. However, you can also just skip night by laying down in a bed. Let's dive into combat, talk a little bit about that. So we have both ranged and melee combat with a few different weapons that I've seen: the spear and shield combo and the spear and sword combo, and then of course a bow with multiple different types of arrows that can be loaded into it. I don't feel like the combat is super engaging, nor do I feel like the AI is all of that smart. Combat is one of the things that I feel like is a pain point for this game. I don't feel like combat in this game is super engaging or exciting. It's quite rudimentary, but it does work. And there are some good features in the combat system already. You can parry, you can roll. There's also a critical hit system in the game. So those fundamentals are already there. And I think they can expand over the early access period on combat just a little bit, make that AI a bit smarter, and make the combat feel a bit more fluid. As of right now, I just feel like it's very one-dimensional. Again, I haven't been real far into the game, but the enemies that I've come across have all been easily thwarted by just backpedaling and blocking their attacks. The only times where I've really felt like I was in trouble is when I am fighting multiple enemies at the same time and one happens to get behind me, or I just get overwhelmed by multiple enemies. The leveling system is best described as being similar to Valheim. So simply do an action and you're going to level up in that particular skill. So if you want to level up in Lumberjack, you just continue to chop down trees. If you want to level up in spears or shields or swords, you simply use that tool or that weapon in combat in order to level that up. And as you level up, you get different bonuses. So there's a level 1 bonus, a 15 bonus, a 20 bonus, and so on. The way that you're going to unlock recipes is to explore the map and look for these different chests that are around the map. Opening those can give you recipes that you can then go back to your base and craft. Aside from the early recipes, you don't unlock them by leveling up. You actually have to find them on the map. Additionally, your first steps need to be going to these places of power and interacting with those in order to get special abilities like the glide ability that I just unlocked. All in all, I think that Dawn of Defiance has some real potential to be a fun game. It is on sale right now, so you could pick it up at $14.99 with a 25% discount, or you could pick up the supporter pack. The supporter pack includes multiple volumes of their concept art, the soundtrack to Dawn of Defiance, and a 3D printable golem statue. I know that many of you are wary about buying early access games. That's totally fine. If you want more information about Dawn of Defiance, be on the lookout for live streams on my channel. I'm also working on some guides for the game to help you with your gameplay experience. I'd like to thank all my YouTube members for your continued support. Y'all are absolute legends. Don't forget to whack the like button if you enjoyed the video and subscribe for more content. And if you don't want to be out of whack, there's another video on the screen right now that you can click to support more of my content.